My name is Gordon Lyde. I am a person in long-term recovery. My clean date is December 22nd, 2008.
Congrats.
I grew up in New Haven. I was born and raised in New Haven. I'm the second oldest of 4 kids. I grew up in the DCYS system. We were wards of the state.
So you were adopted, or?
No. We were just wards of the state.
Okay.
The state was our guardian.
Okay.
So we bounced around from foster homes as well as living with my grandparents.
Well, they kept y'all together, though?
They kept 2 of us.
Okay.
They kept me and my older brother together.
Okay.
So my sister went to an amazing foster home. Her foster mother recently passed away. I used to call her Mom Mary because we stayed in contact with each other. It's just she provided my sister with an amazing life.
Nice.
My baby brother went to live with my oldest aunt, my mother's oldest sister. And me and my older brother, we kind of toured the foster home systems of back then. And they weren't that great.
Yeah.
So we learned the world was not really this perfect place.
Now, how old were you at this point?
So we went through the foster home system pretty much from 0 to 10. We did that, and then we lived with my grandparents.
There was a lot of things you learned.
I learned a lot. And then I went to a group home when I was 13. After my grandfather passed away, my grandmother kind of separated me and my older brother and kind of pushed me into a group home. That was because I'm biracial. I didn't realize what it was until later on in life when I got older, when I became an adult and I realized all the dynamics behind that. I just knew my grandmother couldn't really love me affectionately like the other grandkids because I'm half white. And it's no shade against my grandmother. I'm loyal to her, love her dearly.
You
But
think it was the culture back then?
it was the culture. See, my grandparents, they were older. My grandfather was born in 1908.
Yeah.
My grandmother was born in the 1930s.
Oh.
And they was from the Deep South.
Yeah.
So white people represented a very harsh population.
There's a lot of segregation.
Segregation, there was a lot of abuse and
yeah.
stuff like that. So when she seen me, she seen a white child.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of trauma, and I don't know how much exact trauma that triggered in her. However, she could not affectionately love me.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't understand why until I was an adult. But that's what it was like. So I had an abandonment from my mother, being unloved from my grandmother, not fitting in because I didn't look like anyone.
What were how were your siblings treating you, though?
So me and my siblings were always cool. Like my big brother, he was my protector.
Okay.
He was always my protector. And I always looked up to him.
How old?
He's just a year. 1 week shy of a year.
Oh, okay. So Irish twin.
Yes. Well, all of us are like that. So he's 1 week shy of a year. My sister is a couple of weeks past a year.
Yeah.
And then my mother took a year off and then had my little brother.
Oh, okay.
So we all fall like those little, like stepkids. Like
That's kind of good, though, because you stay at like the same that same age when you could relate to things a little better.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? If you were like 5-6 years apart, it would be hard to relate to things.
We have a level of identification because we experienced a lot of the same things at the same age. It's just different levels of it. So we all have the abandonment of our mother just leaving us.
Yeah.
And then having to go live somewhere else and make a home somewhere else. And the biggest thing is being separated from
each other. Yeah.
From each other. Like we didn't sit down and share a meal together till we was adults. To sit at a table and have dinner with just us.
Wow.
We were adults. Actually, that happened about 6-7 years ago.
Was it something that you only noticed or everybody noticed together?
We always noticed that.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of weird. Like we've only taken one family portrait. That's when we were young.
Yeah.
We were kids.
Yeah.
And my mother showed up to my grandmother's house, my grandparents' house. And for some reason, I was so young. I don't know why there was a photographer there. I don't know what that was about. So we took a family picture. That was the only one we've ever had.
Wow.
Ever. So
is your mom still?
Yes, my mother, she's still with us.
So is it different now or?
We have a very estranged relationship because there's a lot of through the years. There's always been a lot of issues there. So because I'll be honest, I'm a mama's boy that never really had a mother.
Yeah.
So I have these unrealistic expectations of my mother. Like when I engage with her, I become that little boy that wants the nurturing of this Claire Huxtable type mother.
Yeah.
And she's not that. And it's not fair to her when I look at it from this point to expect something she's incapable of doing. And then I feel let down when I don't receive what my unrealistic expectations is wanting. But because of situations, I try to put that aside, and it's hard.
Yeah.
That's a continuous thing I work on in this recovery process.
Well, that's the awareness, right?
Yes.
You're aware now. You just gotta just accept, right?
Yeah. And that piece is the hard piece.
Yeah.
It's really hard because I thought I was over a lot of things. Like I've processed it, like because I've been around 16 years, so I did some step work and worked with a sponsor and got into this field professionally. So I thought I had kind of arrived past some things, and then life starts lifing, and then I realized I still got some more resentments there that I still got to work through.
Yeah. Well, that's self-awareness, and I think that's the first start. Once you're self-aware of it, it's like, all right, now how do I approach this? So let's go back now.
Okay.
You're 13. You're going into a group home. Is this where you first got into any addiction?
It's not. That's when I really got heavy into it.
Okay.
So I had already kind of sampled some stuff.
How old were you?
When I first started sampling stuff, I think I was like 11. I was sniffing speed.
Wow.
The Black Beauties and all that stuff.
Where were you getting this at?
It was just in the projects. It was just available.
Yeah.
It was back then. You was just go outside and you get it. You just ask for it.
Yeah.
But when I got to the group home, it was on Winchester Avenue, the Uno house.
Okay.
And I was the youngest in a house of, so I go in there at 13. Everybody else is 16, 17.
Oh.
To some, that may not seem like a huge age difference, but when you're 13, 17, those are grown adults.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to fit in there because I'm just this little kid.
Yeah.
I got bullied. I got beat on. I got kind of indoctrinated into a whole different culture.
Yeah.
And so that's when I really fell in love with that Numb, because I started doing real substances, if you will. And I fell in love with Numb.
Yeah.
That Numb, that space right outside reality, where you can see reality, but it doesn't touch you.
Yeah.
And that became my drug of choice, Numb.
Wow. So basically anything that...
Anything, what you got.
Yeah.
I had a preference. Crack cocaine was my preference.
Yeah.
But I wasn't above a bag of heroin.
Yeah.
A couple of pills.
Yeah.
If you told me that plant behind you would give me a high if I lick it, if you wasn't looking, every time you turn away, I'll be licking one of those leaves right there.
Wow.
So that's what it was like. So in where this group home was, it was like in the hood, Winchester Avenue. Winchester Avenue, New Haven was live back then. So there was a lot of stuff there was pool halls, there was pimping, prostitution, drugs, everything was going on.
Yeah.
And then we're talking the mid-'80s, so crack cocaine gets on the scene. So now there's the flashy drug dealers and all this, and it's just live. It's enticing for a young kid.
Oh, yeah.
So enticing that you don't see the danger right behind the glitz and the glamour.
Yeah.
And I found the danger, because the danger will come up on you when you least expect it.
Oh, yeah. You
think it's all games and this is fun, then all of a sudden, boom.
Yeah, because you're not looking for that.
Yeah, then all of a sudden, boom, you see, oh, this is real.
Oh, yeah.
But by that time, I'm too deep into it to turn back now.
Yeah.
So I just gravitated to it because the one thing of all my trauma and all my pain from childhood created a whole lot of anger.
Yeah.
So I was able to fit into a lot of situations.
Were you taking it out on people just cause? And then I'll bring it back. Hold up. When you took it out on individuals, Did you ever like walk away from it and really feel it in your heart like, dang, I just did something wrong?
Not till later.
Okay.
I always justified it that I wasn't ever a bully, so I wasn't going to start a fight, but I wasn't going to walk away from one.
Yeah.
But when I look back, I intentionally looked for situations that I could act out.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I had this big fear that I didn't want you to find out. My fear was I was afraid. And I was more afraid of you finding out how afraid I was. So I created this persona.
Yeah, yeah.
That I was angry, that I was tough, that I would fight.
Yeah.
And so that caused a whole nother bunch of problems for me.
Yeah, yeah.
That just kept bringing more trauma, more. So instead of peeling the onion, I keep adding layers to it, layers. And that hole got deeper.
Let me ask you something. If throughout the whole process of you and your addiction, did you have anybody that would try to steer you in the right way?
Not till I think I was 20, 21. A good friend of mine, Mitch.
Okay.
He was like my sort of best man. He witnessed my wedding when I got married at Justice of Peace when I got married.
Yeah.
Because he lived upstairs. He introduced me to my wife at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and I knew what he was involved with, him and his boy Calvin, and then they got clean together.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think they both had like 30 days. And they took me to my first meeting. They called, this was their version. I found out later it was a 12-step call.
Yeah,
They came and grabbed me, took me to a meeting, and I wasn't ready.
Yeah, yeah.
I wasn't ready because I couldn't understand what was going on.
What? So you say you wasn't ready. What were the things that told you at that time, nah, this ain't for me?
Because I thought they were lying.
Okay.
Because it was a celebration with the key tags and, okay, newcomer, white key tag, went and got mine.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Then they said 30 days. 30 days? Okay. You didn't use for 30 days? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They went to 60 days.
Yeah.
Come on, 60 days?
Yeah.
And the higher they went, by the time they got to 9 months, I'm like, come on, y'all lying. And then I still remember this gentleman, goes by Malik now. He was Mike back then. He celebrated, I think it was like 3 years.
At that time?
He celebrated 3 years, and I'm looking at him. He looks like an action figure, all cut up and bulky.
Yeah.
They talk about he was shooting heroin on Arthur Street and all that. I was like, come on, why are you lying to me? I'm trying to get some help. Why are you lying to me? So I really thought they were gaming.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that was my mentality then.
Yeah, yeah.
My mentality was street, so everything was about a hustle, an angle, or...
Yep.
And I thought they were shooting an angle and taking advantage of me. But I was too caught up in my own ways to realize what was they getting from me? I had nothing to offer.
Yeah, yeah.
And it wasn't until later when what happened was that meeting was seeds was planted. It wasn't until later, till they got nurtured and watered, till it came back. It was like, oh, they was trying to give me game back then.
Yeah. All they was trying to do is just for you to listen, right? And they say that in the meetings, right? When they tell you to take the cottons out of your ear and stick
put it in your mouth.
Yeah.
But that was the first time I was like really offered help.
Yeah.
And then I started my prison career. And then I started learning about this recovery process in the prison system.
Okay. So did you get in recovery in the prison system?
No. It's funny. I heard a term today, what I was doing. I was loitering in recovery.
Wait, explain. What's
so
that
I
mean?
was loitering with the intent of recovering.
Okay.
I heard that saying today on this video. And loitering, so I was just like, when you loiter, you just hang around places.
Yeah.
And that's what I was doing within this recovery process, in the meetings, in the prisons, and different things. I was just loiter. I was just there.
Yeah.
With the intent to recover, but not willing to put the effort in.
Yeah.
So I was just hanging around, taking in information, being able to spit it back out.
Yep.
And sound like I know what I'm doing, but really there's nothing. Everything I just told you was something someone else I just put my own spin on it to make it seem like I'm doing something.
Yeah.
But I never did anything. but I acquired some information. See, that's what I learned in this process. That was my process.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I thought I was getting over, but see, there was someone, an author of all that,
Okay.
preparing me for when it was time for me to really get this.
Yeah.
So I was just picking up information.
Yeah. And what is some information that you got while you was in prison?
The biggest information I got is that I don't have to live like this.
Okay.
Because there was a few counselors back in Carl Robinson back then. Steve, Izzy, Scott, and then Mike Fiore, right? Mike Fiore, he used to always tell us how he was a counselor supervisor, sometimes acting warden, that he went through Cheshire, like the old galleys.
Mm.
He was from Hartford and Albany Avenue and all this, right? Strangely, I believed that his story because what he was saying just sounded too real. But I couldn't understand how he got from Albany Avenue, Cheshire galleys, to working in corrections.
Yeah.
I couldn't see the connection, but what he said made sense. It resonated with me. I just didn't know the how.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't know the how.
Yeah.
Little did I know, many years later, his story would become mine.
Wow. Wow.
Because in my journey, I got a full absolute pardon. They erased 25 felony convictions. And then I went into work for the Department of Corrections.
That's
I
awesome.
went to work at Manson Youth as a substance abuse counselor.
Yeah. That's cool.
It was kind of,
that's
when I walked across that stage, shook
Yeah.
hands with the commissioner, I remembered Mike Fiore
Yeah.
because, and that's when it resonated, it connected. This was his how.
Yeah.
And his story became mine. And it was just almost surreal.
Yeah. Here in C-Car, we talk about transform people.
Mm-hmm.
And I totally believe in that 100%,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it goes in the negative way too, right? Where you can get transformed. We all got transformed
Yeah.
back in the day. You seen the guys with the flashy clothes, the chains. That'll transform somebody.
Yes.
Because you'll say to yourself, I want that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it's the same way as when we get into recovery. So now, let's talk about your process in recovery. When you first got into recovery,
Okay.
right? Who were your supports and what was your methods?
So when I walked into treatment Christmas Eve of 2008 with 2 days clean, I left the Regal Inn Motel in New Haven to go to Kearns Wheats in Torrington for the second time that year.
Wow.
And I walked in the front door. The counselor then, who's now my sponsor, told me, "Hey, Gordon, welcome back. How was it out there?" And I remember telling him, I said, "Tom, whatever you tell me to do, I'll do." Because I only knew two things. I didn't want to die and I couldn't go back to jail. I didn't have this plan that I was going to change my life and become a father and this and that. I just knew two things. I didn't want to go to jail anymore and I didn't want to die. So all I knew is I couldn't smoke cocaine no more.
Yeah.
Because if I did that, those two things would come. So that's all I knew, was that simplistic.
Yeah, yeah.
So I went through Kearns and I really kind of opened up. I stopped sharing what I heard other people say. And I started sharing from inside. And sometimes it didn't make sense. Sometimes it was a bunch of babble. I was just getting stuff out.
Yeah.
Getting stuff out.
Yeah.
And I went from there, met some people, went to their halfway house called McCall House, got a sponsor, started working, trying to get involved. And then I realized I had another issue in the form of women, because all of a sudden she showed up, she smiled at me and called me cute. And see, I didn't know if a woman looks at me and calls me cute, we go together. In my mind, we married with 2.5 kids, White House picket fence.
Yeah.
I got this whole fantasy laid out. And that's when I started, I didn't realize that was a problem. I just thought she was into me. But little did I know, my self-esteem was so non-existent, I needed you to tell me how to see myself, because my view of me was directly correlated with how you seen me.
Oh.
So if you said I was cute, I must be cute. If you said I was a good person, I must be a good person.
Mm-hmm.
And if you said I wasn't no good, I wasn't going to be nothing, then that's how I see myself as well.
Words in power, words enslaved.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and then for a year and a half, 2 years, a little over 2 years, I invested everything in this relationship. Yeah. It was the most toxic thing. She relapsed, and at first I thought it was penance. This was for all the dirt I did.
Yeah.
And then I went through, when that was no longer a good justification, then it was, I can fix her.
Yeah.
Because I'm the great I am.
Yeah.
And then when that was no good, I had to come to terms with, my reality became so engulfed in hers.
Mm.
I was more afraid of living without her than suffering with her.
Wow.
She became just like my drugs. I knew it was toxic to be with her, but that toxicity was so familiar. I knew who I was with that. But if you remove her, I had no identity.
But you wanted to save her. Yes. That was your thing.
And then one day, situations happened and I just snuck away. Yeah. She went to work and I grabbed a bag of clothes, a TV, and called my boy Mike. We called him Money Mike back then. He had sober houses. I said, yo, I need a sober house. I need a room. And he put me in that room. I was supposed to stay there 6 months, give myself 6 months. Because I went in there, I had at that time like 4 years.
Okay.
I had like 4 years clean at that time, right? 3 to 4 years. And then I go into the sober house where my house manager had like 6 months. And he's telling me he wants to supervise my urine. And I had started working at Carnes Wheats, a treatment facility. He was just my client a minute ago.
Yeah. How'd that make you feel?
That was humiliating. And then I realized it really wasn't humiliating. It was more humbling. It became humiliating when I didn't accept it and just humble myself.
Yeah. That
this is just what it is.
Yeah.
And then I got out of my own way and I allowed myself to just be. It was okay.
Yeah.
I wind up staying at that sober house for a couple of years, about 4 years, became the house manager and all that. And that's why I always tell people, I haven't used in 16 years, but I have like 13 to 14 years of recovery because the first few years.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. I got 10 years of recovery myself. And the first 2 years, I was like just in my house.
Yeah.
So I know I can relate.
I didn't do any work. I was invested in this person.
Yep.
And once I left that person, I was stuck with me. And in order to live with me, I had to work on me.
Yeah.
And that's when I started doing some work. That's when my life changed. That's
when you say you're doing work, what type of work that you're talking about?
I got invested with my sponsor. I reconnected with him and said, okay, let's go through these steps really.
Okay.
So I started from step one, and really that whole step one that's the cornerstone of my recovery, that being powerless and understanding what true powerlessness is. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just the drugs. I am truly powerless over anything outside of two choices, whether I'm going to act, or whether I'm going to react, or I'm going to respond to any given situation. I have no control over anything else other than that.
Yeah, yeah.
And a reaction from a response is only defined by maybe 2 nanoseconds. Mm-hmm. A response means I play it all the way through.
Yeah.
How this is going to affect me in the long run.
Yeah.
Or a reaction is just no thought, just go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
And that's the only true power I have. Outside of that, and it's such a relief when I realize I don't have to pretend like I'm controlling anything anymore.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized, okay, now I'm on to something.
Yeah.
Then I've developed a need for a power greater than myself. I took myself out to the center of the universe. Then I became willing to allow something greater than me, whether it's a group of people, whatever, to guide me and start taking some suggestions. Mm-hmm. And then it was time, once I got good with that, it was time to go inside and do that inventory.
Yeah.
Really take a look at all the hurt, the trauma, the resentments, the pain of all that. And then share with another human being, and then become willing to remove, after I did that inventory, then willing to get rid of my shortcomings, my character defects, share those and identify those. Because sometimes we tell ourselves we got rid of them, but sometimes they're still there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We just act on them differently. But
Or react to it slower. Yeah.
But see, the fact that I realize and I identify that they're there, when they do pop up, I acknowledge and then I clean that up.
Yeah.
And see, that's the work. And by doing that work, I became a better human being. And being a better human being, I became a better father, a better grandfather, a better employee, a better friend, a better mate, and all these other things. And then all of a sudden, I became this respectable, responsible human being within my household and my community. And it's just, the world opened up. I went back to school. I realized I wasn't some dummy from the street. I went to college, earned a couple of degrees, became a substance abuse counselor, did all that, worked in this recovery field and reentry field. And my life changed.
Yeah.
That transformation that you were just talking about, all of a sudden, I say all the time, I live in this perpetual pinch myself moment because I look around at my life and I'm like, really? Because sometimes I can remember being that little street kid, or even that adult dope fiend sitting in a basement. Yeah. I used to say it was an abandoned apartment, and then someone told me it wasn't abandoned because you was in it. That shit was just condemned. Yeah. It wasn't abandoned. You was in it.
Yeah,
and it was occupied.
Probably a few more people there.
Yeah. So I remember that, and I choose not to forget what that's like.
Yeah.
But I have this amazing life today where I surround myself and I run into people like coming down this corridor and people see me in their office and they come out to greet me.
That's beautiful.
Because I have done nothing to hurt, harm, or injure them.
Yeah.
I've been an authentic friend to them.
Yeah.
And they to me. And the embrace is sincere. Because I remember when people seen me, they was like, oh, here he come again. And that's the true transformation. Like my grandsons and my daughters, they trust me today. When we make plans, if I tell my daughter I'm coming on Sunday, there's no doubt. We don't have to talk about it. They know I'm showing up.
Yeah.
When my grandsons asked me for something. It was funny. My daughter told me a couple of years ago. My middle grandson said, oh, I'm getting his Oculus. She was like, how you know you're getting an Oculus? Pop said it. And when Pop said he's going to get something, I'm going to get it. And that melted my heart because here's a 7-year-old little boy that knows if I say something today,
it's promised.
It's done.
Yeah.
And his mother, she went through my addiction with me. Like I had her young. I was 17 when she was born. So she went through all my addictions. She was 20 when I turned it around.
How many kids you have?
I have two daughters.
2 girls?
38 and 25.
Nice. Now, did you have to worry about them growing up with anything?
No. So with them, I can't say I worry about them. I was absent. Yeah. It was like crack cocaine was everything to me. Yeah. Like.
But they didn't have any type of substance use disorder?
No. So my oldest daughter, she smokes weed. And it was pretty cool because we developed this relationship even before I got clean. They always knew you didn't have to lie to me. You could tell me anything. Yeah. And I remember the first time she came and said, Dad, I smoke weed.
Now, were you in recovery now still?
I wasn't in recovery.
Oh,
I wasn't in recovery.
Okay.
But I still wanted to get on my soapbox and be like,
yeah.
Drugs are bad and all this. And I'm like, you hypocrite?
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, all right, thank you for telling me.
Yeah.
Do it responsibly if that's what you're going to do.
Yeah. So you're okay if somebody tells you, like in CCAR, we believe you are in recovery if you say you are.
Yeah.
Right?
Your avenue of recovery is yours to determine.
Yeah.
I don't get this. Mine's complete abstinence, but that's mine.
Exactly.
How you get it is yours. Yep. The goal is to create a life of manageability.
Yeah.
I don't get to determine your level of manageability.
Yeah.
Your level of manageability may be beneath what I view as mine,
Yep.
but that may be yours. And if how you get there is how you get there.
Yeah.
I don't get to determine that.
No. I always get curious though when people like, especially people close to me, like,
Yeah.
right? If my daughters, I got 2 daughters myself, 23 and 19. And if they were to ever tell me, right, they never, for what I know, they never tried any drugs. The oldest drinks occasionally, but if they were to tell me like that, I want to listen to them.
Yeah.
And help me understand. That's what I would say.
Because my daughters, and I look at their lives, like my youngest, she tried smoking weed. She tells me she doesn't like it, and cool.
Yeah, yeah.
My oldest, she indulges in that, and her husband, who I officiated their wedding, by the way.
Wow.
Yes, I'm one of the few fathers that I always say that signed their daughter's birth certificate and marriage license.
Nice.
But they indulge in, they smoke pot, they have a few drinks, but I look at their life.
Yeah, yeah.
They raise their kids.
Yeah.
They have 3 boys. They raise them.
Yeah, yeah.
The kids don't want for nothing. They work hard.
Yeah.
They take care of home. They have a good life.
Yeah.
So they're not me.
Yeah.
I didn't have that.
Yeah.
My drug of choice, my drug use had me sleeping on park benches, in and out of programs, and
stealing.
Yes.
Yeah.
that's not them. So clearly that's not a problem for them.
Yeah.
So I can't put my view of what's right and wrong with usage on them.
Yeah.
I know what doesn't work for me
Yep.
and what works for me.
Yep.
But I love the fact that they were able to share that with me.
Yeah.
They confide in me with that.
Mm-hmm.
When I come around, they respect that.
Mm-hmm.
They know my life.
Yeah.
And they respect my life because my daughter remembers my anniversary because she identifies that's the day she got her dad back.
Wow.
And my daughter tells me all the time that she's proud of me.
Yeah.
And that's something that melts my heart to this day.
Yeah. Always. Man.
Because there's a part of my life that I did nothing to deserve her love, admiration, and respect.
Wow. Yeah.
But I put in the work and I changed my life to become better. And my daughter loves that.
Yeah.
She's proud of her dad.
That's awesome.
And the things I achieved, and it's not about the accolades that I've achieved in this process.
Yeah.
I'm consistently available to her.
Yeah.
And she can say with full honesty, she loves her dad and she's proud of the man that I am. If I was to die today, I could take solace in the fact, not that I want to die today,
Yeah.
but if I could take solace in the fact that I'm a good dad.
Yeah.
I'm a great grandfather. And if that's as good as it gets,
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
You know what I love? That you're prepared, right? In the sense of all these tools that you have, right? All this knowledge that you went through, the experiences and stuff, that when your grandkids get to a certain age, that you can have this open discussion with them,
Mm-hmm.
right? And like knowing that you're there for that guidance, that they have a chance of never going through that avenue.
That is my goal. Because like my oldest grandson, he had his running with the streets.
You were saying he's 19.
He's 19, so when he was 16, he was shot twice.
Oh, wow.
Wrong person.
Yeah.
Because at one point he gravitated to the streets hard,
Yeah.
where they were living in. And I always told him, like, dude, because I call him dude,
Yeah.
like, you're not really built for this stuff like this.
Yeah.
And I felt bad because my past, my track record, I was involved in a lot of that.
Yeah.
But I knew he wasn't built for that. He was built for better things than that. But he went through that, and the trauma attached to that.
Mm.
He moved away from that.
Mm.
He likes to do his rapping thing, and he got a job, and he's happy. He's not involved in the streets.
Mm.
And I tell him, I went through all that, so you don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
Before you go to prison, come talk to me. I'll tell you what prison's really like.
Yeah.
You don't need to go to prison and learn that.
Yeah.
If you want to go to prison, like I tell them, go be a correctional officer.
Yeah.
Create a career doing something.
Make money off of it.
Exactly. But my experience is, I always say, I go through this so the person after me don't have to. So I share and try to share my experiences and everything I've learned and be as fully transparent about it, not glorify it, but tell it, listen, this is what it was, and this was hard. And I'm lucky I survived it.
I think that's the essence of life, though.
Yeah, because many, when we look back, there's a lot of people that used to be with us that are no longer here. They didn't survive it.
Yeah.
And those that did survive it, they're really damaged.
Yeah.
Because I still go back to my old neighborhood in New Haven.
Yeah.
And I still see the same cats out there doing the same thing, but they're really broken now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel grateful. And I tell my children and my grandsons, that don't have to be you. Yeah. So I want to set the standard. I want to create a legacy. I've already broken the generational curse, but I want to set a standard. Like, this is what my grandfather did. Mm-hmm. There's a place because I want to, me and Rebecca, and many others, we got the grade 8. We won this award, grade 8 with the Hall of Change. So our likeness is in the first prison in Connecticut, Old Newgate. And it's so cool. My grandsons or my great-great-great-grandsons can go there after I'm long gone and see my likeness up there. That I went from being a part of the problem to an agent of change. Yeah. And I'm honored up there. Yeah. They can see that. Yeah. That's a legacy. Yeah. And I want to add on to that so they know to raise the bar. Yeah. Don't stop where I went to. Yeah. Keep going. Oh, yeah. Raise the bar for the kids that come behind you, your kids and your grandkids. Yeah. So generations from now, my branch has blossomed into a whole tree. Yeah. Of functionality, not destruction. That's what I want. And then if you embed it in the right soil, then you good, man. And see, that's my goal. I live now for my to set an example for my grandsons. Yeah. And my great-grandsons before they get here. Yeah. That's what I do. Because I've lived my life. I've made my mistakes. Now I do my cleanup. Yeah. And now I set these examples. When you say you do your cleanup, what's that? My cleanup, so all the things that I did in my life, like the prisons, the street life, I did my cleanup with that. Yeah. I pay my debt to society, and I give back. Because an old school cat told me when I first got clean, you owe. You owe. And I'm like, what do you mean? You owe communities, you owe families. Yeah. Because all you did was take from your communities, your family. Yeah. So I live in this space of giving back, of being of service, because I truly believe there's no higher calling in this world than to be of service to another human being. That's how you find yourself, getting lost in their service. And because I can't feel bad about my stuff, because life be lifing. But I was also told, when you start feeling bad about your stuff, go help another human being. Yeah. Because feeling sorry for you and helping another human being can't exist in the same space. Yeah. That transcends when you help someone. Yeah. It helps you. Yeah. So I live in that. Yeah. I always give back. So with the people that know me today, this me, the grown man Gordon, they always say, yeah, he helped me do this, he helped me do that. And I don't do it for their compliments. I do it because it's the right thing to do. Because I owed. Okay. So that's my cleanup. So what organization are you in now? And what are the things that you're doing in your organization? So I work for Demas with the state. I transferred from corrections to Demas. So I'm a substance abuse counselor for River Valley Services in Middletown. Just to let everybody know what Demas stands for. Demas is the Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services with the state. There's a lot of funding that goes out through Demas with substance abuse treatment and mental health. So I'm one of the staff that goes out in the community and help different individuals in Middletown. Okay. I do that full time. I'm also executive director of Men of Evolution with Evolution Reentry. Okay. Evolution Reentry under Jackie Purcell. She started an organization that was primarily for women in the federal space, women coming home from incarceration or going to incarceration. Okay. So she's been doing that for 10 years. So she brought me on because I wanted to do something for men, but on a state level. So I'm the executive director of that.
So
where you can find me on the website evolutionreentry.com.
okay.
And you'll see me we do podcasts. I'm starting different groups for men with criminal justice involvement in their past, current, or possible future. Get with me. I try to offer support. If you got cases in the courthouse, try to walk you through those. If you got to go do a bid, I will be there to support you, to be there.
Yeah.
Because sometimes just a letter or someone to know that I got you when you get out. I'll get you connected.
Yeah.
And then to be there, keep your word and be there when they get out.
Yeah.
And connect them to resources.
You are an interesting person, man.
Thank you.
And you're doing good things, man. Continue to keep doing them.
Thank you. Thank you.
Definitely, man.
Your name has rang some bells in the community too. I told you.
Thank you.
I've heard your name in many circles.
Appreciate that, man.
And that's a good thing when your name is in certain circles.
Yeah.
That means you're doing something when certain people, your name is mentioned in conversations. That means you're making an impact.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
And I salute you too.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that, man. I thank you for your time.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure.
Been a pleasure too, man.